Hey guys, it's Mina, and today in this video I'm going to do my top 10 movies that I watched when I went through chemo. For those who don't know, when I was about 13 years old, when I was about 12 years old, I was diagnosed with osteogenic sarcoma, which is a type of bone cancer. And I had to go through 12 rounds of chemo just to get rid of this tumor. And I will tell that story sometime in May. And I'm going to talk about like these movies that I constantly watched when I went through chemo. So when I was going through chemo, my mom used to take me to the video stores and we'd have to rent VHS tapes because that's all the hospital had. And she would, and I would pick out like a whole bunch of movies. I used to go to I used to go to Hollywood Video a lot. I'm sorry. I used to go to Hollywood Video a lot with my mom because I'd like to go there because they had all the movies that I wanted because I tried going to Blockbuster before, but they barely have anything I want that was on my list. So, she used to take me to Hollywood Video and I'd pick out a whole bunch of movies and I'd watch a lot of them when I went through chemo, and sometimes they'd cheer me, and they'd always cheer me up. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. So I'm going to get started, and if you guys have any requests of movie reviews of the movies that I mentioned, please let me know in the comments down below. And I will have some movie reviews up later on for the ones that I mention, and I will mention it when I get to it. Okay, so number one on my list would have to be The Fox and the Hound. Even though I watched it 10 times as a kid, I would watch it so much when I was sick going through chemo because it just cheered me up because I loved the friendship between two friends who were supposed to be enemies and they didn't know. And they would try anything. And another thing I loved about The Fox and the Hound is I loved how the two friends who were supposed to be enemies will try to go through the obstacles that keep them apart. Like supposed to fight each other. They won't let that happen to each other, and that's what I really love about The Fox and the Hound. Sorry. Number two on my list would have to be one that I drove my parents insane with when I went through chemo, and I made like almost everybody in my family watch. A movie is Cats Don't Dance, and this is a Warner Bros. Film, and I bet a lot of you have heard of it from me because I've mentioned it a couple times in some of my videos. And this one, the reason I love Cats Don't Dance so much is because it had it had a lot of good music, and it had a lot of singing and dancing, and I love anything that has singing and dancing, and it's really great, and it's a really fun movie. It just made me laugh a lot. It made me smile because of all the cute little animals and the singing and dancing. And it was a lot of fun to watch it with my mom and my dad, even though I drove them like crazy with it, probably like 50 billion times. After 50 billion times, they probably hate it now. I just loved it so much because it just had singing and dancing, and it was fun watching it with my mom and my dad because I recognized a lot of famous real-life actors in the movie. And I don't want to say what actors they are because that's going to give out about the movie, and it'll take way too long. Number three on my list is one that I really liked and my mom and dad didn't like, is Space Jam. So Space Jam, I really like Space Jam because it had Bugs Bunny in it, and for those who don't know, I really like Bugs Bunny because he's one of my favorite cartoon characters. Let me know if you guys also want a top 10 cartoon characters video because I would be happy to do that. Sorry. Because it had Bugs Bunny in it, and I just love Bugs Bunny, and I really love the thing of cartoon characters in a live-action film, and I did mention that in my Who Framed Roger Rabbit review. I don't know, I just think it's really cool how they got it in, and how they get, and by the way, I'm going to tell you guys right now how, I did mention this in my Who Framed Roger Rabbit review, of how they get the cartoon characters in a live-action film, is they use a thing called a VistaVision camera, and I'm showing that in my Who Framed Roger Rabbit review, but I'll show it to you guys again. And let me get my computer. I don't know if it's charged yet. And please ignore the laughing downstairs. No, it's not charged. Alright, so I'm going to go on the internet and show you guys the picture of a VistaVision camera. So this is a VistaVision camera. This is what a VistaVision camera looks like. This is how they get the cartoon characters in live action movies. It's really cool. Cool how they do that. And sorry if my light's blinding you guys. So yeah, it's really cool how they do that. So sorry. Number 4 on my list would have to be The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride is one I watched probably 50 billion times because I love a good love story. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I love a good love story like The Notebook. The Notebook's a great love story. I love Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is another one of my favorite love stories, even though it's a love tragedy. It's just has a great love story about one person falling in love with someone who's poor, and she loves him no matter what, even if he was rich or poor. And it's just a great fantasy film, and I love fantasy movies. Number 5 would have to be one that my mom and I completely love, and it is Uptown Girls. Uptown Girls was one of our favorites because we loved Brittany Murphy in that movie along with Dakota Fanning. I love Dakota Fanning. She's one of my favorite actresses of all time. She's really funny, and I loved her like in everything, like I Am Sam. I Am Sam's one of my favorites. My mom too. And we just loved Brittany Murphy in that movie because we loved how she let me think. Because we loved how she dressed in that movie, and she was actually really funny. She just cracked me up, and I just love how she was kind of immature in that movie, and that really made me laugh. And let me know if you want a movie review on Uptown Girls, by the way. Number 6 on my list is one my mom and I really liked, and it was another chick flick, and this is What a Girl Wants. And I made almost every girl in my family watch this movie. It's funny. I really like it because it just cheered me up. It made me smile because I loved Amanda Bynes back then when I was a kid. I don't like her at all anymore just because what she's become now. And like how all the bad choices she makes. And the one thing I loved about What a Girl Wants is a relationship between a father and daughter. It had a great father-daughter relationship. Number 7 on my list would have to be home movies. I don't know why I'd watch home movies so much. They just I don't know, it just was fun seeing like what my life was like when I was a kid, what I had when I was little, and what my house looked like when I was little. It just was really nice to see what everything looked like when I was a kid. Number 8 on my list would have to be The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant I probably played like 10 times in one day. I just love the story of the Iron Giant because it has a great friendship between two people, a human boy and a thing that's made out of metal. I just really liked it because of the story, and it was such a cool movie. That came out, I think, in like the 90s or something. I don't know. I'm not sure what year it came out. I know I was like probably like 10 or I was probably like 9 or something when that came out. I don't remember. It was years ago. So, number 9 on my list would have to be Looney Tunes Back in Action. Again, I love Bugs Bunny. The reason I watch that so much is because Bugs Bunny always cracked me up. And I watched a lot of Bugs Bunny cartoons as a kid. My grandpa, when I was little, he used to have a bunch of Bugs Bunny VHS tapes. Yeah, he used to have a lot of Bugs Bunny VHS tapes along with Tweety Bird, Daffy Duck, and I'd watch Tweety Bird and Daffy Duck a lot. And I'm going to show you guys what a VHS tape, for those who don't know what it is. This is a VHS tape. So this is like really old, yeah, VHS tapes. They're like from, I think, the 40s or something. I don't know. I'd have to do research. I used to watch like so many VHS tapes, so that's what a VHS tape looks like. I would watch Looney Tunes Back in Action so much because Bugs Bunny always cheered me up. And again, I love the live-action characters. I mean, not live-action. I mean, cartoon characters in a live-action movie. It's really cool. Number 10 on my list was one I watched and my mom and dad really hate. Well, actually, not because I overplayed it. They just didn't like it because they didn't like the movie. This one is The Master of Disguise. This movie cracked me up, literally. It just made me smile all the time because there were so many funny scenes. Even though it was kind of stupid, it's just like one of those stupid, funny movies that would crack you up constantly. Absolutely, there was like a bunch of funny scenes. It just made me smile so much and it got my mind off of being sick. Okay, so those were my top 10 chemo movies. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry this video was so long. I just couldn't think of like what to say a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.